against Tom Filer of Milwaukee. Stay tuned. The 10 p.m. report comes up next on Channel 4 with Jim Cott. I'm Ted Robinson. Thanks for being with us, and good night from Milwaukee.
Minnesota Twins baseball has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. For all that you do, this Bud's for you. By Hardee's. We're out to win you over because we never forget you can always go someplace else. By Phillips 66. If you want more muscle in your car, pump up to Super Clean Premium Unleaded. Performance power from Phillips 66. And by Norwest Bank. When you come to Norwest, come to expect the best. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be rebroadcast in any form without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
For the first time, the bodies of those killed in Wednesday's United Airlines crash will be going home. Today, dozens of caskets were loaded for transport, but there are many more bodies still unidentified, including the body of a Minnesota native.
WCCO Television presents Mike Walsher, Debbie Fabian, Matt Balow, and Ralph John Fritz. This is the 10 p.m. report.
Good evening, everyone. With Debbie Fabian, I'm Alan Cox in for Mike Walsher. Thank you for staying with us for this slightly delayed 10 p.m. report. Tonight in Sioux City, Iowa, the search for victims of Wednesday's plane crash is over.
Investigators of United Airlines Flight 232 plane crash say all the bodies missing from the crash have now been accounted for. But there is still some disagreement over how many people died in that crash. Officials in Sioux City put the death toll from Wednesday's crash at 110. But the National Transportation Safety Board says 111 people were killed. Doctors say the death toll could go higher as patients fight to survive critical injuries. In Sioux City today, reporters and photographers were allowed onto the airfield where the DC-10 crashed to get their first close-up look at the wreckage. Meanwhile, United Airlines announced today it will visually inspect all engines in its DC-10 fleet, a time-consuming and costly process. A United spokesperson says no planes have been grounded and that the checks are just a precaution. A 24-year-old Utica, Minnesota native is among the dead from United Flight 232. Rochelle Swigum had been working in Colorado, and she is one of the many victims still not yet positively identified by medical examiners.
Some scenes now that are a frightening reminder of the horror in Sioux City last Wednesday. An American Airlines 727 was preparing for a stopover in Tulsa this afternoon on its way to Chicago. The pilot discovered a hydraulic system had failed. The crew lowered the landing gear manually and warned the 110 people on board to prepare for landing, but the plane landed without incident. The hydraulic failure on this plane not as complete as the one on the DC-10. Another pilot enjoyed an uneventful but historic landing this afternoon. The plane piloted by the youngest person ever to circle the globe at the controls of an aircraft. 11-year-old Tony Alangina started out 7 weeks and 19,000 miles ago, accompanied by his father. He wasn't in the same plane he started out in. The original crashed this week in Alaska during a side trip to go fishing. The pilot for that trip was the father, who's a flight instructor. This afternoon, Tony accepted the applause along with his sister and his 10-year-old Soviet pen pal. Tony now wants to ride his bike and visit the president. And some older adventurers had another day in the sun. 14 Apollo astronauts, led by the second man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin, rode in a parade through the Johnson Space Center. It was the first public parade ever held at the NASA complex. The astronauts said they're ready for their successors to reach beyond the moon to the planets. And the parade ended beside the rocket for what would have been the last mission to the moon, a mission canceled because of the cost of the Vietnam War.
As the end of the 20th century approaches, the Earth's atmosphere is showing signs of fatigue after decades of abuse. One such warning sign has recently come clearly into focus: the gradual depletion of the ozone layer. Darian Ward reports on local support of a bill that addresses this problem.
Einstein's quote was that civilization is a race between education and disaster, and that's clearly the case here, that we have to put into effect the public policies that reflect the best knowledge we have on ozone depletion.
Congressman Bruce Vento and Jerry Sikorsky are throwing their support behind the Stratospheric Ozone Protection Act of 1989. It's considered the most comprehensive federal legislation to date on this subject. CFCs, otherwise known as chlorofluorocarbons, are the culprits. They're found in styrofoam cups, air conditioners, and refrigerators.
That's where they come from.
The common thread running throughout them is that they tend to be too stable for their own good. They are released at the Earth's surface and do not break down until they reach the stratosphere, where they can do some harm.
By the year 2075, researchers estimate that if the present rate of ozone depletion continues, 40 million additional skin cancer cases will be reported. Of those, about 800,000 will die from it. Eye problems are also on the list. 12 million more people will suffer cataracts. And farmers can expect reduced crop yields, along with an overall global warming, which causes droughts, heat waves, and rising sea levels. To avoid this fate, lawmakers say changes must be made in national and international policies. Individuals must also make a conscious effort to preserve the ozone layer.
And I think that we may find some of the coolants that are used are less efficient. It may cost a few pennies more for electricity. It may mean that we have to drink out of wax cups rather than styrofoam for a while. But if we get absolute substitutes, there'd be no change.
Darian Ward, WCCO Television News, St. Paul.
The Protection Act proposed requires a complete phase-out of the 10 most ozone-destroying chemicals by the year 1996. In Alaska today, this was the scene as fishermen staged an attempt to block an Exxon tanker. The oil tanker was trying to dock at a refinery, but the fishermen are still angry over the Exxon Valdez oil spill, which shut down their fishing grounds. About 24 fishing boats blocked the tanker's path until the Coast Guard intervened.
A different kind of boating frenzy in Minneapolis today. The Mississippi River is where hundreds of boats have been racing since 9 this morning. It's a race called the Championship Sparkplug Powerboat Classic, and it's one of the last of the many aquatennial events. Some of the fastest and noisiest boats ever built competed in the races.
And speaking of aquatennial, Minnesota has a new ambassador tonight. The aquatennial Queen of the Lakes has been crowned tonight, chosen from among 50 young women representing communities and festivals all over the state. The Queen and 2 princesses will spend the next year traveling all over the country representing the aquatennial. The coronation was hosted by WCCO personality John Gallus, and the winner is the festival's 50th Queen of the Lakes is Jennifer Munson, the former Miss Fridley. The 2 princesses are former Miss Maple Lake Lisa Therese Goman, and from Northfield, the former Miss Defeat of Jesse James days, Amy Catherine Machachek. And the royal party will also reign over the 51st aquatennial celebration, never too early to plan ahead, July 14th through the 22nd, 1990.
Good enough. A lot of other aquatennial events going on tonight, and later in sports, we'll show you the Aquatennial Bodybuilding Championships. Tonight at Northrop Auditorium, Minnesota's best bodybuilders flex their muscles in front of screaming crowds. And still ahead on the 10 p.m. report, it was Christmas in July for a few folks who may feel a little bit forgotten this time of year.
But coming up next, a four-year-child report on the dangers of riding lawnmowers. Dr. Margie Hogan will have that story coming up in just a moment.
Nothing looks better than a clean car, but nothing runs better than a clean engine. At FINA, our high-octane super unleaded gasoline with FINA 1 detergent keeps your engine running clean. So you get all the get-up-and-go you need when you're ready to get up and go. Doesn't your car deserve a friend? Your car's got a friend at FINA. Right now, get a free FINA Secura Tag keychain while supplies last.
I ate a lot of stuff because it was chic. I mean, I ate raw fish because it was chic. But steaks and burgers, they make me happy. And I like being happy.
I got a taste for some real food.
My friends, they dragged me to this really trendy restaurant. You know? I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect roast beef. No, roast beef. So what? Does this mean I've been trendy my whole life?
I got a taste for some real food.
People love the listen all day sound of the Light FM, 103 WLTE.
Pick it up from the top.
We're already there.
You don't need to worry about the...
People love the listen all day sound of the Light FM, 103 WLTE. the only place you'll hear relaxing light songs. Start your day elsewhere? That's okay. Because no matter how you start, spend the day with the Light FM, 103 WLTE.
Get set for a cross-state rivalry where anything can happen when the Twins collide with Paul Molitor and the Brewers. Join Ted Robinson and Jim Cott for all the action, live from Milwaukee. Sunday at 1:30 on Channel 4, the Twins station.
And this is Zippity, one of Will Steger's sled dogs that stayed behind from the Antarctica journey to do some PR work. Zippity and his trainer were on hand at Dayton's in downtown Minneapolis today to tell the public about the 7-month trek. I think Zippity's trainer did most of the talking. The journey across Antarctica will get underway August 1st, and Will Steger and his crew are now on their way somewhere over South America.
Tonight, state health officials are warning people about a disease that's been linked to undercooked or uncooked hamburger. So far, this year, the illness has put 8 children and 1 elderly Minnesota resident in the hospital. The illness is hemolytic uremic syndrome, or HUS for short. It can damage the kidneys and cause problems with blood clotting. Most children can recover from HUS, but a 3-year-old Twin Cities girl died from the disease earlier this month. HUS is spread by bacteria often found in ground beef. The Minnesota Health Department has detected the bacteria in recent hamburger samples, and now the state is stepping up its warnings on the disease because this is the time of the year the bacteria flourish. Restaurants and grocers have been asked to warn customers about eating hamburger cooked rare, but so far it is the warnings posted that are rare. So if you're going to eat hamburger, the best advice is to cook it thoroughly and make sure everyone washes his or her hands before eating. And if you're going to order a burger at a backyard barbecue, the best technique is to order it well done.
Good advice. And another danger is lurking in our backyards. Every year, thousands of children are injured by riding lawnmowers. In St. Paul, a recent jump in the number of injuries has prompted Children's Hospital officials to warn parents about the dangers of riding lawnmowers. Dr. Margie Hogan has more in this For Your Child report.
The riding lawnmower looks like it goes so slowly and like it's so harmless, and people are letting their children help them with the chore in a way that's sort of fun. But
Dr. Susan Ash knows why parents allow this ride, and she knows firsthand what can happen. In just 3 weeks, she's treated 3 serious injuries to children riding on mowers similar to this. 2 children suffered partial amputations, and the other was hurt even though the blade was up.
one child was actually run over by the lawnmower. He had tire tracks across his belly and internal injuries to his organs.
According to a Consumer Product Safety Commission survey, this is a favorite summertime ride. 54% of households with children under age 10 let them ride. And in 15 of those rides, children die. I find it especially tragic because those deaths were preventable. I hope that parents will keep their little ones inside when the lawn is being mowed, because not all children will be as fortunate as Dr. Ash's patients.
All of them have lived. And since trauma is the #1 killer of children, in that sense, they're very lucky. But in another sense, all of them have suffered some damage that they'll have to live with for the rest of their lives.
Dr. Margie Hogan, WCCO Television News.
Authorities have taken a toddler from a home in Coon Rapids, the scene of a grim accident. The 2-year-old boy and his mother were home alone last Tuesday. The 42-year-old woman apparently fell down a flight of stairs by accident and died from her injuries. And then for the next 4 days, the little boy was left in the house alone with his mother's body. This morning, a neighbor checked in and discovered the accident. Coon Rapids police took the boy to Mercy Hospital, where he is listed tonight in good condition. The rest of the family is out of town and doesn't know what happened at the home in Coon Rapids.
There's some new hope to revitalize the east side of St. Paul, and it could mean a good deal for would-be home buyers. These homes, some of them boarded up for months, will go to the winners of a lottery. Some of the homes may change hands for as little as $1. The contestants got a chance to see the homes inside and out today. Neighbors took the tours also. They were anxious to see that the new owners would clean up what they buy. The East Side House Lottery will be held next Friday. Small was beautiful tonight at a show for connoisseurs of model cars. Designers and builders showed off their accomplishments in plastic, resin, and metal, little bits of metal. It was a promotional event at a South Minneapolis store called Motorsports Miniatures. One of the highlights of the evening was a trivia contest about American cars of the 1970s. I think that's real trivial.
That's good. In just a moment, Matt Balow will be here with the forecast for tomorrow and the first part of the next week. He'll let you know what's in store.
Well, what can we do for you? My name is John, and I'd like to explain.
When you go to some banks to borrow money, the way you're treated is almost criminal.
What do you want the money for?
Well, I'd like to buy a...
What makes you think we should give you the money?
Well, I thought you were the ones who had it. What is this?
Just sign it.
What?
Escape to TCF. We'll give you an answer within 8 hours on all kinds of loans.
How long will it take?
We'll get back to you.
Exotic alloys, complex designs. Today's automobile engines are minor miracles of efficiency and power, but at a price. They generate more of the damaging filth called sludge. Today, what's required is a motor oil scientifically formulated to virtually eliminate sludge. There is one, Haviland Superior Grade.
If you're talking about it,
It's true. I read it in the paper. Can you believe that?
if you're gossiping about it,
I'm telling you, that's what it's coming to.
No.
it's on Donahue. If you're affected by it,
This will affect a lot of people.
if you're fascinated by it,
Oh my goodness, look what they're saying here.
it's on Donahue.
Weekdays on Channel 4.
Cystic fibrosis is important to me because it's the #1 genetic child killer in the world. And that is a very, very sad thing to hear, that you're born with this disease and your life expectancy is limited. And I feel that I can give a lot of tender, loving care, and I can try to cheer the youngsters up and just be an inspiration and just keep a happy face.
The whereabouts of a veteran American diplomat suspected of being a Soviet spy remain a mystery tonight. Felix Bloch had access to some of America's most sensitive diplomatic secrets. He's now under investigation for espionage. He allegedly passed a briefcase to a Soviet contact in Austria. The FBI says Bloch was last seen Thursday in his Washington, D.C. apartment building. In Minneapolis this morning, a group of people hiked around Lake Harriet to help out hurricane victims in Nicaragua. Last October's storm was followed by a drought that wasted thousands of acres of farmland there. The money raised today will be used to purchase oats from American farmers to be given to those in need in Nicaragua.
And Matt Balow is here. Wonderful weather for that walk and just about anything else today.
That's absolutely right. All outdoor activities anyway. Then it should be nice tomorrow as well. So if you didn't get out there for that walk, you get a good chance to do so tomorrow. And possibly the next day and the day after that.
And you've already...
I could go on.
Well, why don't you?
Okay. It was a very pleasant day out there today here in the Twin Cities. The high 84, that's right where we should be for this time of year. The overnight low was 61. That's also pretty close to where we should be. And no rainfall out there today. Currently, it's sunny. The temperature is 70 sunny. Listen to me. I'm thinking about 6 o'clock. It's clear. It's sunny somewhere. It's just not sunny here. It's 77. The relative humidity 54%. The wind is out of the northeast at 7. Right now, the dew point's at 59, and the barometer's rising reads 30.20 inches. Temperatures are really rather mild across the state right now. 70s, still 80 degrees right now, way up there at Bemidji. 69 down in Rochester, 68 also in Duluth. We did have lots of sunshine earlier today. In fact, clear skies for the most part across the state. There's a storm system, though, that's been kind of weakening and dying out, but it's still moving very slowly off towards the west, and as it does, it's been wrapping around some clouds into parts of southern Wisconsin, also southeastern Minnesota. You can see a few of these little thunderstorms and showers popping up throughout much of the Central Plains states. In the meantime, they did provide some shower activity in southeastern Minnesota. Here's a look at the radar picture from 6 o'clock this evening. At that time, I pointed out some showers in southeastern Minnesota. Those showers continue to move slowly up towards the west-northwest, and then once the sun went down, they pretty much died out. In fact, the latest picture right now within 120 miles of the Twin Cities showing one isolated shower down there, way down there in southeastern Minnesota near Houston County. Other than that, everybody else's rain has pretty much dried up. Things have really settled down across the rest of the country as well. They've had some severe weather earlier tonight down in Winter Haven, Florida. A tornado there damaging 20 mobile homes. Also, some strong winds damaged some trees and power lines as well, and some scattered showers throughout much of the east. Also tonight, a few isolated showers making their way through parts of the central Rockies, a lot of rain in central New Mexico. And as far as we're concerned, some high pressure, which is kind of stretched over the Great Lakes, is going to continue to dominate the weather here. It will allow a few clouds and some higher dew points to spread into the state tomorrow. That's going to give us the chance, the slight chance for a thunderstorm tomorrow night, in fact, over the next couple of days. So it looks as though temperatures won't change too much, mainly in the mid-80s, but we've got the slight possibility for some badly needed rain over the next couple of, about 48 hours or so. Our forecast for this evening, though, is just calling for mostly clear skies, and it should be a mild one. A low of 63 overnight, a southeast wind at 5 to 10. Then for tomorrow, partly sunny, it'll be hazy, and the slight chance of an afternoon thunderstorm with a high of 85 and a southeast wind at 10 to 15. Then for tomorrow night, partly cloudy. Once again, we'll have the slight chance of a thunderstorm, a low of 63. And by Monday, one of these times, we should be getting one of these thunderstorms. It'll be partly sunny, more humid, and another slight chance of a thunderstorm with a high temperature on Monday of 85, and then for the period Tuesday through Thursday, drying out towards the middle of the week, but a chance of thunderstorms once again on Thursday, and highs still above normal, mainly mid to upper 80s. Overnight lows mainly in the mid-60s. So lots of sunshine on the way, but no more tonight.
And not sunny right now out of 10 minutes
No,
of 11.
no phone calls.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Well, now, believe it or not all of tonight's fun events were related to the Aquatennial in the Twin Cities. At the Hyatt Regency in Minneapolis, a martial arts exhibition pitted some masters against each other. The black belts are experts in the study of karate and taekwondo. The proceeds from the night of the masters will go to help the North Star chapter of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
And we have more to come. You'll enjoy watching this. It's coming up because in just a moment, Scott Reynolds will join us with a recap of tonight's Twins game against the Brewers in Milwaukee.
There are many reasons to used car shop here at Towsley Ford and Towsley Subaru. We almost always have 450 or more used cars and trucks on our 2 huge lots, so you'll find what you want at a low price. Towsley offers some of the best warranties in the nation, so you can buy with confidence. And Towsley makes used car shopping convenient. Just 10 minutes from St. Paul, 15 minutes from the Metrodome, less than 30 minutes from anywhere in the Twin Cities area. It's worth a trip to used car shop at Towsley Ford and Towsley Subaru, White Bear Lake.
Why should you buy Sherwin-Williams paint? Well, look at it this way. That coat of Sherwin-Williams paint has to be pretty tough. Paint you can wash and wash again and again. So when it comes to your walls, pick any color you like. But when it comes to quality paints, where do you draw the line? Ask Sherwin-Williams.
An assertive woman who is self-confident is what turns men on the most.
On the next Sally Jesse Raphael, secrets for meeting and marrying the man of your dreams.
The key is to be receptive to one another.
And not spend all your energy defending yourself.
You want to find a man, look the best you can, feel good about yourself, set a list of values, and go out and hunt.
Finding and keeping the love of your life on the next Sally.
Monday at 3 on Channel 4.
Well, this should be a pleasant sportscast for you.
Yeah. Well, the Twins tonight looking good in beautiful weather. And, you know, a lot of Minnesotans made that trek over to County Stadium. I guess it's to
Got a
see
good
relatives,
show.
watch the Twins. And when they play like they did tonight, they're happy. When Roy Smith pitches for the Twins, he often gets more support than Bartle and James. And it even happened in the beer country of Milwaukee tonight. As the Twins were playing the Brewers, a scoreless game in the third. Randy Bush stole second, and then Kirby Puckett singled him home for Puckett's 48th RBI. And then Kirby got advanced to second base, and Gene Larkin was at the plate. And he makes it 2-0 with this base hit down the right field line. And the Twins were cruising. Doug Baker tripled in a run in the 4th inning, and then also in the 4th, Al Newman brings home Baker with a safety squeeze. Jamie Navarro made a nice play to get Baker at first, or to get Newman, but he trailed 4-0. Tim Laudner looking like Benito Santiago on that throw. It was 4-1 in the 9th inning. Gaetti getting a chance to pinch hit. His leg muscle injury keeping him out of a starting lineup, but didn't stop him from driving a sinking liner to left that brought home Herbeck and Larkin. Plenty of Twins fans could be heard among those more than 52,000 on hand at County Stadium tonight as the Twins pound out 14 hits to win it 6-1 over the Brew Crew. Kind of hard to believe the Chicago White Sox are 17.5 back, well, at least considering the way they've played lately. Behind Yvonne Calderon's 3-run blast in the 7th, the Sox won their 8th straight, longest winning streak since '83, 10-6 victory at Fenway over the Red Sox. Elsewhere, it was Oakland 3-1 over Baltimore, the A's 3rd straight win. Candiati in Cleveland shutting out Kansas City. The Rangers win their 3rd straight, beating New York 2-1. And Detroit leading California in the 4th at Anaheim, and in Seattle at the Kingdome, Toronto up on top 3-0 over the Mariners. This afternoon at Wrigley, the Cubs keeping in the heat of that race. In the bottom of the 1st, Andre Dawson heads one to the lakefront with a 2-run homer off Atlee Hamaker. The Cubs take care of the Giants. They're within 3.5 games of first-place Montreal in the National League East with that victory. And Los Angeles cruised past Pittsburgh 8-4. Elsewhere, it was Cincinnati losing to Montreal 6-5. The Reds have lost 7 straight. New York has won 5 straight, beating Atlanta. And Philadelphia loses 1-0 in the first game of a doubleheader and is trailing 4-3 in the 7th at the Astrodome. St. Louis 3-1 over San Diego in the 5th. Well, tomorrow is the deciding day for Minnesotan Greg LeMond in his quest to ride away with victory in the Tour de France, which he won back in '86. After 20 days of racing, the riders head into that final leg tomorrow. LeMond remaining 50 seconds behind leader Laurent Fignon of France. LeMond has only a small 15-mile stretch between Versailles and Paris to make up that time, and in bike racing, that's a relatively short distance to make up that much ground. And a man from way down under is really down under at the British Open, 12 strokes to be exact. After 3 rounds, Australian Wayne Grady leads at the links of the British Open, and he is a stroke ahead of American Tom Watson. The 31-year-old Grady finished the day with a 6-foot putt for a par on 18. That gave him a 69 in the afternoon. He's 12 under. Grady finishing a stroke up on Watson, but shared the lead with him on 3 separate occasions. Watson, the 5-time British Open champion, came on strong. He shot a 68. 7 other Americans in the top 11 along with Watson. They are warming up to that mild weather in Scotland, more characteristic actually of a U.S. Open than British Open. It's Grady, Watson, and then Tom Stewart is just, or Payne Stewart is just 1 shot back of Watson with a 2:06 with 1 round to go. Well, in 1972, Clyde Turner was an integral part of helping the Gophers win the Big Ten basketball championship. 17 years later, he's a big part of many young people's lives, running a basketball camp that goes way beyond teaching the game. Mike Max has more.
At first glance, it appears a normal basketball camp, but tucked away at beautiful Camp Cairo near Annandale, Clyde Turner has put together something special. A place that allows kids from the inner city to develop as basketball players, develop as people. What Clyde Turner does for these campers is much more than teach the game of basketball. It's a liberal arts education on the game of life.
Traveling for 20 minutes.
Turner's camp includes a morning session in the classroom. It's part of the master plan, putting kids in an environment that helps establish priorities and ultimately helps them feel better about themselves.
I like for them to go away, number one, feeling happy about themselves, with better self-esteem.
The self-esteem is built through sharing with each other, helping provide answers for difficult questions.
We had a really good group today, and we discussed a lot of things. I know for me and some of my friends, it really helped clear up a lot of issues.
For some, it's their first visit to a setting so serene.
Well, it's nice being out in nature and seeing all the things that are out here. It's enjoyable.
All part of Turner's master plan.
It gives them the opportunity to relax, opportunity to think about their life and what they can do, after they leave camp. I think it's just good all the way around in terms of their emotional, physical, and mental development.
The rewards for Turner's efforts are easily measured. With photographer Dave Halpern, Mike Max, WCCO Television Sports, reporting.
And Turner's camp is corporate sponsored, and there is no fee for the campers. Brainerd International Raceway, a buzz this weekend, not just because of a quality field on the track, but also because of drivers like Paul Newman. He's back again. The actor's been active in car racing for years, making an almost annual stop at Brainerd International. He's an obvious crowd favorite. It's his passion, something he'd like to spend more time doing in the future.
I wish I could do more racing this summer, but we just finished a film down in Louisiana, and we're starting another one in Paris and Kansas. So I guess I'll have about 3 races, and that's about it this year. But it's really great.
Now, Newman will race tomorrow, and that interview is just one of a handful he's granted in 17 years of racing. He gave it to our sister station at the KCCO, a rare interview from Paul Newman. And, of course, he has those good looks, but not quite the physique of the competitors at Northrop Auditorium tonight, the Minnesota State Bodybuilding Championships. Notice the deltoid development similar to that of our Alan Cox. Now, Alan would have probably won this year's competition, but he refused to let them rub that oil all over his body. But broad-shouldered Alan couldn't have competed in this division anyway because we're talking teenagers. Yes, they had that competition to go along with the wide-open age group, and a lot of gorgeous competitors, in addition to very strong out there tonight. And a clear blue day for Canterbury Downs, but foggy turned out to be the winner. Aegean Mist won today's 4th race, the Chaska class of '84 Cup. Jockey Dean Kutz, one of the top riders at Canterbury, made a late charge down the stretch to edge out Buck Start here by a length. Zipper Up finished 3rd. The top 5 horses split a purse of $8,800, and maybe they should give a purse for naming those horses.
I know, they're
Sure you didn't
great.
make those up.
No. And the Twins will look to get the series, the 3rd game. They could win 2 out of 3 with a victory tomorrow afternoon on Channel 4.
So much for the Wisconsin curse.
That's it.
It's over. It's done.
Love those rivalries. When the late edition of the 10 p.m. report continues, a visit from some would-be Santas. That's right, a real Christmas in July.
Fun is so contagious at Chi-Chi's, even we're getting carried away. Our new ultimate combo is perfect proof. 8 great Chi-Chi's favorites. Cheese nachos at Burro, enchilada, chili con queso, taco beans, rice, plus Mexican fried ice cream. All at a price even we don't believe. Chi-Chi's ultimate combo. Better hurry in before we have second thoughts.
Chi-Chi's, a celebration of food.
He killed his girlfriend's baby and was sent to prison for life. But the state of Alabama made a bureaucratic blunder and set him free. Now a grieving mother lives with the pain, and a killer is free in New York.
I realized this week how much I miss her.
Why is William Shank free?
Exclusively on Channel 4, Monday.
At Christmas time, people go out of their way to make sure the elderly and the shut-ins are not left out of the holidays.
But in the summertime, people are busy or on vacation, and those less fortunate are sometimes forgotten. But not today. Volunteers from Little Brothers, Friends of the Elderly, delivered free meals and cheer to elderly across the Twin Cities. For the recipients of the effort, people like Bernadine Schulte, it was a chance to see a new face. For volunteers like Lois Harrington, it's a chance to brighten someone's day.
Just a good feeling of doing, for the elderly, and someday my turn's going to come too, and I hope somebody's there to do for me when I need it.
Volunteers brought 2 meals with them so they could get to know their new elderly friends over a picnic lunch.
That's nice. People always like to be remembered.
Exactly. And there will be plenty of time for picnics tomorrow out in the beautiful sunshine. We're promised.
Yes.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Bye-bye.